going on? Fun.
Raise the gavel, start the bumper, so.
Okay.
I am gonna clean up my entire.
Well, good morning, everyone. Well, there we go. We got it. Again, good morning, everyone. I will now call to order this Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting on March 19th, 2026. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Before I do, there are technical difficulties for people watching this meeting on YouTube or the Clackamas County Government channel. They can't hear a word I'm saying, but we're about to show a screen that states that. In 1 second, there it is. Due to technical difficulties, the YouTube stream and the Clackamas County Government channel does not have audio. There is visual. The Zoom link is working. And if someone would like to hear the meeting now, this is a link to the Zoom link. It's important that Zoom works because that's where the public testifies to you remotely. And that's important for public meeting purposes to have that work. So the Zoom works. The recording of the meeting will be shown on YouTube and the channel later. So the whole meeting will be recorded, captured as we are doing this. So it will be aired later. But in the moment, someone on YouTube or the channel will just be seeing you and not hearing you. But that explains why. So that's why we had the delay starting. Thank you. With that, staff support today, County Counsel Billy Williams, Clerk to the Board Andrew Jaraki. Roll call, Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Chair Roberts.
Here. And on that topic, Gary, throughout our meeting today, if Andrew could maybe post this in case people come in late, that when the opportunity is right, Andrew, maybe you can post it for folks to see. So with that, those that are able, if you'd please stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me. All right. So first thing up this morning is public communication, and testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. As always, I ask comments to be respectful and courteous. You can also, reminder, you can email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and they'll be accepted as part of our public record. I'll take in-person testimony first, and I'll turn to our clerk to moderate the in-person, and then following that will be virtual testimony. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you are attending this meeting in person and wish to comment during general public communication on any item that does not have its own specific public hearing on today's agenda, this is a reminder to please fill out a blue card and deposit them in the box that can be found by the center doors. I'll call you in the order that they are received. Please come forward, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes. First, Ricky Barker. Ricky Barker, please come forward.
And you also have another person.
So the clerk calls the order in which the cards are received. So Chair, would you like an exception in this case?
Yeah, we'll make an
Okay.
exception for today.
Ms. Marshall, Ms. Amanda Marshall, please come forward, introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes.
Morning, Commissioners and Chair Roberts. I'm Amanda J. Marshall. In 2012, I faced my own civil commitment hearing. I am a practicing attorney who is very open about practicing law with mental illness. And I'm here today as one of the 2 public defenders in Clackamas County that represent families in civil commitment hearings of persons alleged to have mental illness. I propose a request to designate the DA's office as responsible for civil commitment proceedings. The Oregon Criminal Defense Lawyers Association supports my position, as do many others that were willing to sign off on my resubmitted written testimony. There are 3 reasons why you should keep civil commitments with county counsel. And the first is that county counsel are experts for the county at handling civil cases. And district attorneys are experts at handling criminal cases. Civil commitments are civil cases, and they should be handled by the experts in civil cases, which is county counsel. The fiscal savings to the county are significant if an experienced attorney is assigned to handle these cases and not a revolving door of law students, which is how the DA's office handles these. And third, the PAMIs deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And in order to decriminalize mental illness, we need to take it out of the criminal system. This board designated county counsel to handle civil commitments in June of 2025. And that recommendation stated, under this proposed board order, the state's interest will be primarily represented by a specific dedicated assistant legal counsel from the county counsel's office. This will provide increased subject matter expertise and consistency in representation. Moreover, it will provide further clarity, especially for the person alleged to have a mental illness, that it is a civil process rather than a criminal process. As I had stated last week, we had a few glorious months with county counsel. They were still glorious. A week later, they were great. And there was increased subject matter expertise and consistency in the representation that showed this was a civil process and not a criminal process. I want to highlight that the message that it sends to people involved in the civil commitment system when these hearings are handled solely by law students. The message is that these matters are not important enough to send licensed attorneys with expertise who can handle these with sensitivity and efficiency. The patient facing a severe medical issue and their family who are very concerned for them, they're not important enough. The court's time is not important enough. The sheriff's deputy's time is not important enough. The county civil commitment investigator's time is not important enough. The inpatient psychiatrist's time is not important enough. And the public defender's time is not important enough. And I want to reiterate again that just because this is the way it has been in the past does not mean that it is the way it should be. It does not mean that it is the right way to do things. So please keep these with county counsel and respect all of the people that I listed, including myself and members of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ricky Barker. Ricky Barker, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. I'm here to speak in support of Clackamas County's June 2025 decision to have county counsel rather than the DA's office manage civil commitment cases. As I understand it, that decision was based on 3 sound ideas: that it would free resources in the DA's office, allow for more specialized and consistent handling by a dedicated civil attorney, and better reflect the reality that civil commitment is a civil process, not a criminal one. I believe those reasons were sound then, and they remain sound now. Yes, civil commitment sometimes intersects with the criminal legal system, but overlap does not mean prosecutors should handle it. The fact that some people in crisis may also have criminal legal involvement does not make mental health treatment a criminal matter. Civil commitment is not punishment. It's not prosecution, and it should not be structured in a way that makes it feel like it either. That matters because for the person at the center of the case, civil commitment can already feel punitive. They may be detained, unable to leave, dependent on others for basic permissions, and brought before a judge. Even if the law describes the process as civil, the lived experience can feel coercive. It's already true. If it's already true, the county should be doing everything it can to avoid adding criminal optics or prosecutorial associations. These cases also deserve more than being treated as an administrative inconvenience. Civil commitment can result in the loss of liberty, bodily autonomy, and decision-making authority. The stakes are enormous. These are not minor matters to be assigned based on convenience. They require stable, specialized, and clearly civil representation. And while experience matters, experience alone is not enough. The central question in a civil commitment case is not simply whether the paperwork is complete or the right witness is present. The real question is whether the state is justified in overriding a person's autonomy. That is an ethical and constitutional question, not just a procedural one. A specialized civil attorney within county council is better positioned to keep the focus where it belongs, on liberty, necessity, and due process. Finally, I don't think most counties do it this way is a good enough reason for Clackamas County to do the same. Clackamas County has shown that it can lead with more thoughtful, restorative, treatment-oriented approaches. For example, we launched a family treatment court in the first wave of Oregon's new state-funded family treatment courts. We developed Project Hope for overdose survivors. We became the first jail in Oregon to earn mental health services accreditation, and through our Behavioral Health Resource Network, we have supported free substance use treatment and recovery services under a broader recovery-oriented system of care. That history matters. It shows that Clackamas County does not have to simply do what most counties do. It can do better. It can align its systems with its stated values. If the county wants a response to mental health crisis that's truly civil and non-punitive, then the structure of its representation should reflect those values. Civil commitment is a civil process. It should be treated that way, both in substance and in appearance. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a final call if you're attending this meeting in person, wishes to comment during general public communication about any item that does not have its own specific public hearing on today's agenda, to please fill out a blue card and deposit it in the box that can be found by the center doors. Mr. Chair, seeing no more in-person comments, with your assent, I'll move to those attending virtually. If you are attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment during general public communication, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand, and I will call on you in the order that I see. Mr. Hunt, Dave Hunt, I see your hand first. I'll mute you. Please introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, for the opportunity to testify. Unlike the prior two speakers, NAMI Clackamas has not established a position on this particular proposed change of the civil commitment authority from the County Counsel's office to the DA's office. As you know, Mr. Chair, and I very much appreciate last week you deferring action on this item, so we would have a week to be able to actually have a conversation and better understand the reasons for it and the impact of this change. I thought a week would be plenty of time, but unfortunately, the word we got back from Mr. Williams' office was that he was not available for either an in-person or a Zoom meeting this week. And the two representatives from the DA's office, one apparently has been in the murder trial all week and one has been sick all week. So all very reasonable reasons that they were not able to meet this week. We do have a meeting set with both the DA's office and County Counsel's office for next Wednesday, the 25th at 9:30 a.m. So I would just ask that you defer action on this today. I'm not aware of any urgency, even from the advocates of it. Frankly, the fact that Mr. Williams is not willing to proactively ask for a deferral of action raises some suspicion in my mind, because there is no apparent urgency. And anytime there's a desire by government staff, frankly, at any level of government, to try and rush things through, in a case where there has not been outreach to any mental health groups, there's not been a request for feedback from our county's Mental Health and Addictions Council, on which I serve, and there hasn't been availability to discuss this issue with County Council and the DA's office, at least until next Wednesday. So very much appreciate your deferral of this item last Wednesday, and I would just request that there not be action taken until we actually have an opportunity to understand this, which will be next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Mr. Renaud, Jason Renaud, apologies if that's a mispronunciation. I see your hand next. I'll mute you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Sorry about that.
We can hear you now.
Thank you. Jason Renaud, Board Secretary with the Mental Health Association of Portland. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for deferring a week, and I underscore Mr. Hunt's recommendation to defer yet another week. A couple comments. One is Clackamas County is not the only Oregon county which currently uses county counsel in civil commitment hearings. Washington County uses county counsel and not the district attorney, who is presumably busy sorting out crimes. and not whether or not someone needs treatment for mental illness. Marion County has used county counsel for years to keep people with mental illness out of criminal court proceedings. They see the merit of using appropriate rules of procedure. And Lane County has used county counsel closely with Lane County Behavioral Health. Their joint priority is the welfare of the individual and not a win in the courtroom. Beyond that, Oregon, as you know, allows county government body to designate county counsel instead of district attorneys to handle commitments. But so does California, Wisconsin, Washington State, Minnesota, Arizona, New Jersey, Florida, Michigan, Nebraska, New York, Texas. So there's a lot of counties that use county councils, both red and blue, to do civil commitment hearings. And second point, you might think that a civil commitment hearing, by the way, has any of the commissioners, show of hands perhaps, been to a civil commitment proceeding? Well, you might think of them as mild and even-handed, but from the perspective of the person who's being prosecuted, and probably not in their best mind, probably not in a comfortable place, they're facing a panel of educated psychologists, investigators, lawyers, and judges who have the power to confine them in a small hospital ward for an indefinite period of time. Yeah, there are court reviews and appeals of these cases, but from the point of view of the person in question, they are in a lot of trouble. They've committed no crime, no offense. Their sole fault is their biochemistry is not working. Maybe they need help. Maybe we're all, we're all in agreement that they need help. And we want them to accept help. So the trick to getting someone who's confused and worried about accepting help is to accommodate their interest, to reduce their anxiety, to make their experience less terrifying, to provide help and not seek a win or a conviction. Now, I've been to a lot of civil commitment hearings here in Oregon, Washington State over the years. None of my own, but as I was former executive director of NAMI in both Oregon and Washington, I've held hands with hundreds of family members and persons alleged to have mental illness through these proceedings. And all of these proceedings have been in criminal courts. They've been dreadful, confusing, authoritative, generally hostile, certainly unkind. What made them dreadful and unkind was they are held in criminal court and not in civil court, as they should be. Please reject this change from county council to criminal court to the district attorney. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, May Lee Browning. May Lee Browning, I see your hand. I'll mute you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Chair Roberts, Commissioners, my name is Maylee Browning. I'm the Legislative Director for the Oregon Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. We're a statewide organization, and I'm a co-signer of Attorney Marshall's letter. I support the first two testifiers and the person who just testified before me. I just want to pull out a bit and say that in the kind of legislative space, when we're having conversations about public defense, for example, both the public defenders in Clackamas and the prosecutor's office has a really, really good reputation. I think Clackamas is viewed as one of the leaders and one of the kind of best models as far as criminal law is concerned. So I do want to point that out and encourage you to stay leaders by having county counsel handle the civil commitments. I believe it's the more fiscally responsible outcome, and it leads to more successful outcomes. Just a word about law students. Our organization works with law students all the time, and we bring them into public defense offices and show them the process. And I have to say that the majority of law students don't have a depth of knowledge of mental health issues. We try to impart that on them, but they just don't have that when they're a law student. And I know, again, personally, I have students join the Clackamas County DA's office. They do a fantastic job over there with their law student program. So I think it's inappropriate for law students to handle civil commitments. I think it sends the wrong message, but also doesn't lead to successful outcomes. Having an experienced county counsel handle these leads to more successful outcomes. And Clackamas County residents going through the process will have more trust in the civil commitment process. And I believe in the government and the rule of law if county counsel maintains handling these civil commitments. For these reasons and for the reasons previously stated, I please encourage the county commissioners to keep county counsel as the attorneys handling the civil commitments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment during general public communication, to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, who wish to comment during general public communication today.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. I will now close the public communication.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Right at the last moment, I see a hand has been raised. Would you like to make an allowance or would you like to continue on?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mitchell Doig, please forgive me if that's a mispronunciation. I just saw your hand. I'll mute you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chair Roberts, members of the board. I just want to also voice similar concerns about shifting this into a criminal context. I think it's an important context to remember that the DSM-5 also shifted surrounding quite a few conditions to really make it clear that mental illness, substance use, and other conditions like this are not a thing that we can really legally ease our way out of, but really need to find ways to holistically support and wrap around these really important and vulnerable community members. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies, Mr. Chair. I now see no other hands and therefore no members of the public, virtually or physically present, who wish to comment.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. I'll now again close the public communication portion and I'll turn to Gary as what do you have next, Gary?
All right. Thank you. Next is a presentation, May 19th, 2026 primary election informational presentation. This presentation is from the Office of the County Clerk. Presenting is County Clerk McMullen and Jason Larson, Elections Manager for the Clerk's Office. Welcome and go ahead, please.
Excuse me. Good morning, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. It's good to see you all today. My name is Catherine McMullen. I'm the elected county clerk and head election official for Clackamas County, and I have here with me Justin Larson, who is our elections manager. And we're here, to talk about the May 19th primary election with an informational presentation.
Before we move forward discussing the upcoming primary election, we want to provide a brief overview of the last election we conducted, which was the November 4th, 2025 special election. That election was not a countywide election. There was 125,940 eligible voters and 41.25% returned their ballot. Only the voters in eligible jurisdictions received a ballot. Prior to counting and scanning ballots, we conducted our logic and accuracy test publicly, and we also conducted the logic and accuracy test prior to certification, which demonstrated that the tabulators scanned the ballots as expected. 423 ballots were challenged, which was less than 1%, and could not be counted because of signature issues where the voter forgot to sign their ballot or the signature did not match any of the signatures on the voter registration record. On election night, unofficial results were posted 3 times that evening, an additional 6 more times prior to certification, in which the county clerk certified the election on December 1st. The election cost per eligible voter was $1.69, which includes costs incurred by the county elections office to conduct the election, including ballot printing, vote-by-mail envelopes, personnel, postage, equipment services, software licensing, voter communication, ballot drop site services, public notices, and more. The election personnel cost was per 1,000 ballots processed was $744, which includes wages and related costs for employing temporary election workers and permanent staff overtime.
In December of last year, the Board of County Commissioners graciously approved a contract so that we could replace and upgrade the election division's aging ballot design, scanning, and vote tabulation systems and software. The Clear Vote system provides a modern Oregon certified replacement that improved processing speed, digital adjudication, audit transparency, and overall workflow reliability. This system included new hardware, updated software, training, implementation services, and also comprehensive training for our elections staff. The upgrade to the election technology ensures timely and accurate vote-by-mail processing, maintains compliance with state requirements, and strengthens voter confidence. We're the 15th county in Oregon to adopt this tabulation system, and with the addition of Clackamas County, 71% of voters in the state vote using this system. In February, we conducted a mock election where we worked 6,600 test ballots through the election from start to finish, conducting training with our full-time and temporary election staff and had visitors from nearby counties. We reviewed every aspect of ballot processing from design to tabulation, ensuring that we are ready to conduct the May 19, 2026 primary election with the new system. We invite you to attend our ballot tabulation system's logic and accuracy test, which is a public demonstration and test that we do twice for each election. This test ensures that the tabulation equipment is reading vote choices as marked on the test deck of all ballot options. This first public test is going to be on Monday, April 6th at 10 a.m., and the last test will be in June before certification of the election to the Secretary of State. And if we stay on this slide, you'll see that the ballot package is not changing, but your ballot inside will have a new design. The new ballots have timing marks using an XY grid rather than barcodes. This maintains accuracy and security of the tabulation process while avoiding potential for costly printing errors. We've also been able to keep ballot printing costs in check as the new ballots are slightly less expensive for our ballot printing vendor to print. In addition, we've been able to add the new voter assistance technology, which you see on the screen there with the bright green border. The technology is available both at our county elections office and at our Happy Valley Vote Center, and it allows a voter with a disability to vote independently and remain the confidentiality of their ballot. So they can vote using the tablet, they can enlarge or change the contrast on the screen, have the ballot read to them, or use the handheld device to move through the ballot. After the voters made their selections, the ballot is printed, allowing the voters to confirm their choices before putting it in their ballot return envelope and signing that and returning it for processing. We continue to offer voter assistance to voters with disabilities with registering to vote, accessing their ballot, voting, and returning their ballot as needed throughout the election cycle, wanting to ensure that every eligible voter has the same access to the ballot. If you go to the next slide, Oregon has closed party primary elections. The voter registration and party choice deadline is April 28th. And so voters need to make a choice if they would like a partisan ballot by that deadline or register to vote if they haven't yet registered to vote. In Clackamas County, as of this morning, we have 321,412 active registered voters. Of those, 136,989 are not affiliated with a major party. So voters do have time to make a party choice if they would like a partisan ballot before the deadline on April 28th. On April 29th, we'll be mailing ballots to all eligible registered voters, and then the voting process will begin.
Our office will have extended hours on April 28th until 7 p.m. to provide in-person support to voters as they meet the voter registration and party choice deadline. For the upcoming primary election on the next slide, what is on my ballot? There are quite a few choices that we have on the ballot this upcoming election. And where you live determines what districts, measures, and contests are on your ballot, including your political affiliation. The Secretary of State's office has issued a directive which will contain all the federal and state offices and state measures, which will be printed and contained on the ballot. On the slide, for federal and state offices and/or measures, we'll have closed party primaries for the United States Senate and the United States House, closed party primaries for the governor, state house, and state senate, and nonpartisan primaries for Bully Commissioner. We will have our judicial elections, nonpartisan county offices and measures. Positions 2, 5, and 4 for the Board of County Commissioners will be on the ballot. The county assessor and justice of the peace will be on the ballot, as well as the 5-year county sheriff public safety local option levy. The county clerk and the county treasurer will not appear on the primary ballot. The candidates will advance to the general election and will appear on the general election ballot. Local offices and measures, the Metro President, Auditor, and positions 1 and 2 on the Metro Council will be on the ballot, as well as city, school, and fire district measures, in addition to PCP or precinct committee person party contests. We have information about all of the candidates that have filed for county and Metro on our website. And we'll have additional information about where to find candidates' information for these state positions on our website as well. For the upcoming primary election, we have some important dates coming up. April 22nd is when voters' pamphlets will begin to arrive for all Clackamas County households. The voters' pamphlet may or may not be separate from the state voters' pamphlet, which is contingent on the size of both of the county and state voters' pamphlets. The primary election is a county-wide election, so every household will receive a voter's pamphlet and every registered voter will receive a ballot. Ballots will be delivered by May 7th. Voters that do not receive their ballot by May 7th should contact Clackamas County Elections and we'll assist them with receiving a replacement ballot. We have 2 voter service locations this upcoming election to provide service to voters. We have the Happy Valley Vote Center, located at the Happy Valley Library, which will be open on Monday, May 4th through May 19th. The hours of operation for the Vote Center mirror and reflect the hours of operation at the Clackamas County Elections Office. And we appreciate our continued partnership with the City of Happy Valley to host the Vote Center. We invite all observers and those that are interested in observing the election to visit us at the Clackamas County Elections Office, where they can see the full ballot processing from start to finish in our observation area. We will have 26 official ballot drop sites that'll be open the morning of April 29th, and they'll be open through 8 p.m. on May 19th. All 26 official ballot drop sites are outdoors and are available 24/7 from when they are opened until they are closed at 8 p.m. The Oak Lodge Library recently moved, and so did the ballot drop box with it. The ballot drop box is at the new Oak Lodge Library, Concord Community Center location. And Colton Tell will now have a drive-up ballot drop site at their new campus. We invite voters to sign up for Track Your Ballot, where a voter can receive alerts via text, phone, or email when their ballot has been mailed to them, received by the county clerk, and accepted for counting, or if there is an issue with accepting their ballot due to a signature issue. Ballots must be mailed with a postmark or received in an official ballot drop site by 8 p.m. on Election Day, May 19th. However, because of recent changes with the United States Postal Service processes and postmarks, we are recommending to voters that if they mail their ballot back a week before Election Day, to take it into a local United States Postal Service post office, to walk their ballot up to the service counter, and to have a postmark applied at the counter on their return envelope. Voters can also return their ballot to an official drop site at one of the 26 locations throughout Clackamas County. For the Track Your Ballot service, we have 47,000 voters signed up, which represents about 15%. And if you have not signed up for the Track Your Ballot service, I highly recommend to do so. We do include information on how to sign up for Track Your Ballot on our website, in the county voters pamphlet, and with each ballot package that is mailed and provided to voters.
The Office of the County Clerk has a focus on equity and inclusion. At the Clackamas County Elections Office, that means that every eligible voter has the resources that they need to vote easily and without barriers. Some of the highlights that we discussed previously were the voter assistance technology that is available in 2 voting locations for voters who have disabilities so they can vote both independently and confidentially. We've also added 2 more official ballot drop sites that have left side drive-up access that improves access so that you don't have to get out of your car or park to return your ballot. This brings our total of 26 to 15 that are drive up and the rest are walk up. We also have a focus on election integrity. Our elections are safe and secure, accurate, and transparent. We've upgraded our ballot tabulation system to improve processing and lower the need for labor-intensive ballot duplication processes. We host candidate open houses and cover common elections administration questions with targeted events for candidates, political parties, city recording staff, and other partners. Yesterday, we held our candidate open house for this election, and we had about a dozen county, metro, and state candidates come to visit us. Our voter registration process maintenance is a continuous task that's done at the county level, and we have 4 election staff that are assigned to that. We hope that you will join us in getting ready, getting set, and voting in this election. Again, sign up for Track Your Ballot. You can visit our website to do that. Make sure that you register to vote and that your information is up to date, and choose your political party if you wish before that October 28th voter registration and party choice deadline. And then visit our elections office and be an election observer so you can watch your election process as it's happening. Well, thank you again for your time, and we're available to answer questions if you have any.
All right, thank you. Questions, Commissioner Savas?
Oh, that was my, I'm sorry, I had my light on from the earlier discussion.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but go ahead, Commissioner Helm.
Thank you for the presentation. So for the non-affiliated voters that have until April 28th deadline to file a party so that they can vote in this election, I'm disappointed in our legislature that we didn't get that fixed this time around, because I know that it was back at the short session to try to get this so that everyone can vote in the primary, regardless of party affiliation. Then can they switch back?
Yes, as a voter, you can update your political party at any time. You just have to be registered with a major political party by that party choice deadline in order to get a partisan ballot for this election.
And you can switch as many times during the year as you want to. All right. Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Just a couple comments. First of all, I want to thank you both for doing a great job. I think that election integrity is crucial, and some of the things that you've added are very impressive. I think it's great to hear about the ADA additions. I'm also very impressed about the testing of the system and the training to make sure before we get to that big day, things are in place, you work out any kind of bugs, and then the opportunity for observers. I think just inviting the public in that have questions, I think that's just another great opportunity. And lastly, for those, again, I heard you say May 7th, if you haven't gotten a ballot, they need to call you, correct?
Yes, please call us.
Right. So if you don't get your ballot, please contact elections, and I encourage everyone to vote. With that being said, I want to say thank you both very much and turn to Gary. What do we have next? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I did think of a question. So I think you kind of touched on it, but could you just expand? It's been recently announced that the Postal Service the postmarking is going to be different this time, right? That they're perhaps not going to be dated. And you mentioned walking the ballot up to the counter to make sure it gets stamped. So I just want to make sure that that's nothing we're requiring. We're just advising that because of the USPS change in policy as to the postmark. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner. So the USPS has advised us that the postmark no longer indicates the day that it was put into the mail. It's a cancellation of the payment, and so it may not be postmarked on that day. And so we are asking voters kind of statewide, if you're going to mail your ballot back, put it in the mail a week before Election Day. That way the postmark will get applied before Election Day, and we'll receive it in time before that requirement. And then if you want to mail it back after a week, we ask that you go into the post office and have them apply that postmark at the counter, which the post office has assured us they will do statewide, or you can return it to any of our 26 official ballot drop sites. We just want to make sure that every vote that can be counted is counted.
Okay, and just to build on that, so in the last couple election cycles, it's been the interpretation of not your office, but at the state level, the interpretation is that there was somewhat of a grace period, I think. That's how it appeared to the public, that there was a grace period that despite the postmark, that there was extra latitude given for a mail-in ballot that was not received. Is that true, or
So-
is there a nuance to that? That I'm not-
Yeah, to clarify, the law is it has to be postmarked on or before Election Day and then received by our office within 7 days. So that's the letter of the law that we follow.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner West.
So I just want to understand that it's a little complicated. And so my brain's spinning a little bit. So just how the post office handles postmarks, that policy has changed nationally, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And so, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make sure I understand this is interesting. So if you turn in your ballot like on election day, it may not get a stamp on that day. It may not get a stamp a few days later until they process it. Or how, I'm a little bit confused.
So if you put your ballot in the mail on Election Day, it may not get a postmark on the day you put it in the mail. It may be a day or two after that.
Okay.
And the law is it has to be postmarked on or before Election Day.
Okay.
So in order
So to be safe,
Mhm,
you have to either go in and get it postmarked on the day,
mhm.
mail it earlier and just get it in earlier. And am I also right that all the drop boxes at 8 o'clock on May 19th on election day, those you can no longer drop off in a drop box?
You can return it to any of our 26 official ballot drop sites. Those are picked up from our sworn staff and are not part of the mail process.
Okay, but that's a way to get it in until 8
Yes,
o'clock.
until 8 o'clock.
On May 19th.
Yes, Election
Okay.
Day.
Okay, so that is a change. So the rule, just get it in early. Vote and get in early, right? That's the best way to make sure.
Or return it to one of our official ballot drop sites before that deadline.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, thank you again. And this is information only, so no action is required. So we'll go ahead and move on, and thank you, Clerk Gary.
Thank you. Next, you have two public hearings. The first public hearing is approval of a boundary change proposal number 2026-001 for annexation of the city of Gladstone to Clackamas Fire District Number 1. There are no county general funds involved. Jeff Munns, Assistant County Counsel, will present. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, Chair and Commissioners. This annexation proposal is a little different than most that you see. Normally, it is a property owner seeking annexation into a district for some sort of a public service. Here, it is the entire city of Gladstone that through action of their city council placed this question on the ballot last November, and it was approved by the city voters to then go ahead and be annexed into Clackamas Fire District. The population of Gladstone is less than 20% of the overall district, so therefore, the district didn't have to call a corresponding election. They can do it through the normal process of their board, and they have done so. So this matter has come to us in proper form. All the notices have been mailed and posted and sent out to the folks that are required to be receiving notice, and it complies with Oregon state law, Metro Code, and our comprehensive plans that apply. And staff recommends approval of the annexation.
Right, any questions, colleagues? All right, seeing none, our next task at hand is open a public hearing on this item, so I'll turn to the clerk. Can you please help us moderate those comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're attending this meeting in person and wish to comment on this specific item only, this is your opportunity to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box that can be found by the center doors. Seeing no members of the public physically present who wish to comment on this specific matter, Mr. Chair, I'll now move with your assent to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this matter specifically, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand. This is a final call. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this item, to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no other members of the public, either physically or virtually present, wish to comment on this specific matter today.
All right, thank you, Andrew. I'll now close the public hearing portion. See if commissioners have any other comments. Seeing none, I'll ask if someone would like to make a motion.
I move we approve boundary change proposal of number 2026-001.
Second.
All right, thank you, ladies. Commissioner Schrader has moved to approve the boundary change proposal 2026-001. Commissioner Helm has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
And thank you. So, Mr. Muntz, don't go anywhere. It sounds like you're up next. So, Gary, what do we have?
Thank you. I do want to recognize the Clackamas Fire Chief, Nick Brown, and the City Administrator for Gladstone, Jackie Betts. They've been patiently sitting in the audience this time. Mission accomplished. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. The next public hearing is first reading of amendments to Clackamas County Code, Chapter 2.03, Hospital Facility Authority, and declaring an emergency. No county general funds are involved. Jeff Munns will also present with Sarah Foreman, both Assistant County Counsels. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. So we're back with revisions to Chapter 203 for the Hospital Facility Authority. We were here in January at an issues presentation to reconstitute the Hospital Facility Authority and have all 5 of you nominated to that board. And now we're working with folks that are preparing to issue bonds for their facilities and with finance staff. And the bond council had recommended that we make these changes to the ordinance so that it is clearer for them that this is how the board has been properly constituted. Currently, it is a 7-member board in our code, so we're making code changes to reduce that to a minimum of 5, but then a maximum of 11, and that's what it's allowed by statute. And we're also limiting the terms from currently our ordinance states 4 years, and now increasing that to 6. So the changes are all consistent with statute. They are just made such that by having only 5 of you appointed, it is clear under our code that we were allowed to do 5, because previously it was 7, and by only having 5, you still had a properly formed board because you had a quorum at 5, of course. A quorum of 7 members is 4, so you could operate. But when issuing bonds, bond counsel wants to be absolutely certain that there's no gray area in this, that it's absolutely black and white. And so we're recommending these changes this time to our ordinance so that no one has any question that this board was formed in absolutely the correct manner. So happy to answer any questions. And Sarah's been more involved in the work with our finance staff if you have any questions about the overall projects.
All right. Any questions, colleagues? Martha, go ahead.
I have a quick question. So how often do these come before us traditionally?
Infrequently, every few years or more. It's been a while.
And what are some of the ones that we've done in the past? I don't recall, but.
Rose Villa is one.
Rose Villa,
I
okay,
believe
yeah.
maybe Willamette View has come up before. And these are just bonds for capital improvement projects. The board, it looks like people will come together for the board, and then as soon as the project's over, it dissolves. And so getting a board reformed has been an issue. It's been an issue for getting public members in and to stick. So because Willamette View is going to be coming before the board, the HFAAC board soon, we need to get a board together so that they can get their bond issued.
So just a question, because they're not necessarily hospital facilities then, but they're assisted living or other.
They can be
kinds
assisted
of-
living facilities.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Great. That was a great question, Martha. All right. If there's no questions, I'll open the public hearing portion of this item and turn to Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you're attending this meeting in person, wish to comment on this specific item only, this is your opportunity to please fill out a blue card and deposit in the box that can be found by the center doors. Mr. Chair, I see no members of the public physically present, so with your assent, I'll turn to those attending virtually. If you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific agenda item, this is your opportunity to please raise your hand. This is a final call if you're attending this meeting virtually and wish to comment on this specific item to please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, I see no members of the public physically or virtually present who wish to comment on this specific item today.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll now close the public hearing portion. See if any commissioners have anything else to add. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I move we read the ordinance by title only.
Second?
Thank you again, ladies. Commissioner Helm has moved to read the ordinance by title only. Commissioner Schrader has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, clerk, would you do me a favor and please assign the ordinance a number and read it by title?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The ordinance is numbered 04-2026 and entitled as an ordinance amending County Code Chapter 2.03, Hospital Facility Authority, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Chair.
And thank you. It looks like the second public hearing and our final vote on this will be on April 9th at a business meeting, correct, Gary?
Yes.
All right, so what do you have next?
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Ms. Sarah?
Thank you, Sarah.
Next is the consent agenda. So I know you know this, but let me say the protocol is Andrew's going to read the entire consent agenda, and then you may choose to pull an item for a discussion. I'm aware of at least one item that's going to be pulled, maybe two, but Andrew will read the whole list first, and then you can decide if you want to pull an item that you will discuss after you vote on the consent agenda. With that, Andrew, would you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. Item A, elected officials. 1, approval of previous business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. B, council. 1, approval of a board order designating the district attorney's office as responsible for civil commitment proceedings. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved. C, disaster management. 1, approval of a letter of promulgation for the county emergency operations plan. No county general funds are involved. D, transportation and development. 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Lake Oswego for recycling contamination reduction programs. Agreement value is approximately $170,000 for 1 year. Funding is through Metro. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of a board order accepting a portion of frontage road as county road number 3420. No county general funds are involved. 3, approval of a board order accepting a portion of Multerpore Drive as County Road number 3421. No county general funds are involved. 4, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Oak Lodge Water Services for the Oatfield Road Jennings Ave Signal Rebuild Project. Agreement value is $187,214.25 for 14 months. Funding is through Oak Lodge Water Services. No county general funds are involved. 5, approval of an engineering services contract with DOWL for the South Holly Lane Abernathy Creek Bridge project. Contract value is $999,993.99 for 3 years. Funding is through Oregon Department of Transportation and the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. 6, approval of an engineering services contract with Kittleson and Associates for the Jennifer Street Pedestrian Improvements Project. Contract value is $243,455 for 9 months. Funding is the American Rescue Plan Act and the County Road Fund. No county general funds are involved. E, Health, Housing, and Human Services. 1, approval of a revenue contract with Care Oregon for opioid use disorder medication in the Primary Care Incentive Program. Contract value is $190,000 for 1 year. Funding is through Care Oregon. No county general funds are involved. 2, approval of a provider agreement with Providence Health Plans for reimbursement of services provided to Providence members. Agreement value is approximately $1,500,000 for 10 years. Funding is through Providence Health Plans. No county general funds are involved. 3, approval of a grant application to Portland General Electric for purchase of an electric vehicle for senior and disability medical appointment transportation services. Grant value is $200,000 for 2 years. Funding is through Portland General Electric. No county general funds are involved. 4, approval of a personal services contract with Metropolitan Public Defender for legal services to secure or maintain housing. Contract value is $465,761 for 2 years and 4 months. Funding is through Metro Supportive Housing Services Measure funds. No county general funds are involved. Mr. Chair, that concludes the Board of County Commissioners consent agenda.
All right, thank you. One of the things I'm looking at is looking at removing an item myself from the consent agenda for further discussion. And what I'd like to do is look at 2 actually, B1, which is kind of the civil commitment portion, and then E4, the public defender. So with that being said, I want to ask any other commissioners, would they like to remove anything from the agenda? And maybe the suggestion is if they do, we would vote on the remaining items and then come back for discussion on the ones we want to talk further about. So Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, so Chair, I heard you say B1, and what was the other one?
E4.
E4?
Yeah.
E4. E as in Edward
Yes.
4. Okay. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda and with the removal of item B1 and E4 for further discussion.
Second.
Right. All right, Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the revised consent agenda with the removal of B1 and E4. It's been seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? Right. Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, as we move on, I'm going to turn to Gary on this, and I'd like you to introduce staff and address
Yes.
some of the concerns.
Which order would you like to go in? Civil commitments first or the public defender first?
Why don't we take the E4?
Okay. Great, thank you. So this item is for a discussion of the board, approval of a personal services contract with Metropolitan Public Defender for legal services to secure or maintain housing. Contract value is $465,761 for 2 years and 4 months. Funding is through Metro Supportive Housing Services Measure Funds. No county general funds are involved. Mary Rimbaud, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services. Shannon Callahan, the Executive Director of the Clackamas County Housing Authority, will give a quick staff presentation. District Attorney John Wentworth has asked to speak as well. He is in the room when that time comes. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Chair Roberts and Commissioners. So we are back in front of you again, but this time with Shannon Callahan. So I'm just going to briefly make a statement and then really turn it over to Shannon to maybe unpack some of the concerns that we've heard about this agreement for your consideration. So again, this contract is a critical component of our newly launched Housing for Success program, which is designed to help households transition off long-term rental assistance by increasing income and building pathways to financial self-sufficiency. I'm going to turn it over to Shannon to talk more specifics about that.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. As Mary said, this contract is part of Clackamas County's Housing for Success program, which was developed initially in response to the 15% reduction that we learned about with SHS funds last December. The program in total is estimated to reduce our rent assistance cost by approximately $3.8 million annually. In addition to addressing the reductions in SHS funding, as Mary indicated, this program has two primary goals: to reduce long-term reliance on rent assistance, ensuring we can fund the full housing continuum with our SHS resources, including shelter, transitional housing, and outreach, and support up to 125 households in achieving economic independency and self-sufficiency through coordinated services like employment support and this contract for barrier removal. The contract with Metropolitan Public Defender's Community Law Department, which was selected as the provider after a competitive process, is a community provider requested tool to remove legal barriers that prevent people from working and maintaining stable housing. Many individuals face fixable legal issues that stand in the way of gaining stable employment and housing. While many may think of Metropolitan Public Defenders as criminal public defenders, this contract, in fact, is with their Community Law Department, which does not do criminal defense work, but provides a suite of civil legal aid services. Specifically, the civil legal aid services contemplated under this contract would include criminal barrier reduction, like expungements and navigating court orders, housing stability support, like debt negotiation and resolution, appeal of rental denials, eviction expungements, financial and employment stability services like driver's license restoration and addressing debt-related barriers. Overall, the program aims to save taxpayers money by preventing costly cycles of eviction, homelessness, and repeated system involvement, reducing long-term demand for public services, and reducing recidivism by clearing barriers so people can get and keep jobs, contribute to the economy, and support themselves and their families. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the specific contract this morning. Thank you for your consideration.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Any questions? Seeing none, maybe we'll have Mr.
If Mr. Wentworth, you'd like to come forward and share your views, and Mr. Williams, if you have anything to share as well, this would be a good time. Yeah.
Good morning. Where to begin? I'm not a fan of this contract, and let me tell you why. The first is you pay me to operate the criminal justice system, and the whole purpose of that system, and it's a lengthy one, as the chair knows, to investigate crime and to prove crime in a courtroom. And the purpose of that is not to get the conviction alone. It's sentencing. It's about sentencing. The magic happens once someone's placed on probation or parole, or the system has a chance to actually change behavior so that we don't see people in the future. The Metropolitan Public Defender's Office contract, as I have come to understand it, will hire a full-time attorney to do things like expunge a criminal record. I rely as a prosecutor on someone's criminal history to have a better understanding of what services are needed in probation, for example, to address the criminality of the person who committed the crime. Once the case is expunged, I have no knowledge. Even I don't have access to that information, and the state has bumped up that expunction timeline significantly recently. Also, reducing felonies to misdemeanors. In my office, for example, if someone is charged with a felony strangulation or any crime of domestic violence that's a felony, we do not reduce it to a misdemeanor to get someone to plead. That's philosophical, right? So for the county to come with this contract, come in behind my office after we get to sentencing and hire an attorney to undo that work that we're doing at sentencing is really challenging for us. Relief from sex offender registration. Probation and parole modifications. Reduction of fines and fees. Restitution, reduction, or negotiation. In other words, when the court says, we want you to pay the crime victim back, this attorney that is being proposed to be hired will come in behind and try to cut that restitution amount. I see why that helps the person who's charged with the crime, who's been convicted of the crime. It's not good for the crime victim to get less. So that's the first part. The second part I have an objection to is that there doesn't seem to be any limitation on the types of cases this person will seek those remedies on. I'll go back to the relief from sex offender registration, for example. These will be felonies, I assume. They'll be felonies, misdemeanors, without regard to what type of crime the person was convicted of. We're not just talking about low-level crimes where people just need to get something off their record. Another challenge I have, and I respect that there was a process, is just Metropolitan Public Defender's Office doing business in Clackamas County. This is an organization that is responsible. Their core mission is to represent indigent defendants in Multnomah and Washington counties. Those two counties have had to dismiss over 1,000 cases because they can't meet, Metropolitan Public Defenders can't meet their obligation to represent people in their community. Then they want to come into Clackamas County and offer a service to us that we pay them to do the work when they can't do their core function in the two counties that they're already in. So there are other nonprofit organizations like the Oregon Law Center that will help with expunsions. They will help with the housing needs. We don't need to use Metropolitan Public Defender's Office at all. And then finally, it's challenging to me that, as I understand it, we have nonprofits that we're giving supportive housing money to that haven't really received a cost of living increase in at least 2 contract cycles. So providing $465,000 to another nonprofit when we're not even helping the crime victims that we have in Clackamas County as robustly as we should is very challenging as your district attorney. So those are my 4 challenges with this contract proposal. I think it's well-meaning. I'm not trying to throw stones at that, but I think there are better ways to spend that money. I certainly wouldn't want to do business with MPD.
All right, thank you. A couple commissioners, it looks like three already. Commissioner West, you're up first.
Thank you. I mean, it's been really well reported that the Portland Metro Defender, that group, they really have chronic systemic failure to provide timely and adequate representation as it is for those that are in the justice system needing a legal defense. We are told we're having an underrepresented crisis right now. I actually thought the number of cases that had to be dismissed of really, they're concerning cases. They're not jaywalkers, am I right?
That's right.
D.A. Wentworth?
Yes.
Very, very concerning crimes that have had to be dismissed. I thought it was higher than 1,000, but that's been widely reported. They say they have massive shortages. We're told that they need more resources. We've heard about this in the news quite a bit, but they have enough time to deal with these more social issues with this population, to me, is suspect. Their reliability and their credibility is not great right now. We're worrying about constitutional violations with this group, ineffective assistance, overwhelming workloads, real like work stoppage issues that were being taught. I mean, it's just chaotic. And these SHS dollars are precious. And I know that we could probably make better use of them within the system that we built in Clackamas County, which we're all proud of in this room. So I do have real concerns about the oversight with this, the organization in of it. It's the organization in which would receive this funding. And let's just be honest, this state and region has been really pro-criminal, not pro-victim. Sometimes this county isn't pro-victim enough. Sometimes our funding doesn't get to the DA's office to make sure that victims are taken care of. And that's where we take care of victims. And I know that we want to make sure people have the ability to get back on their feet again. And I think we overall do a good job of that. And that's our heart. But what about the victims? What about that person that was abused, that woman that was strangled? What about those illicit substances that were dealt on our streets? What about the deaths associated with that and the real harm? I'm really tired of Oregon and the metro area not thinking about real victims. And so that's who I'm going to think of today when I vote on this. I will not be supporting this contract. And I think that there are some real red flags on why my colleagues should follow suit. Thank you, Chair.
All right, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, well, I think after doing a little bit of background work on this, I learned something every day. So I appreciate everything that's been shared here. And I have a couple clarifying questions so I can kind of figure out where I'm going to land on this. So first of all, Mary, how many bids were provided? I mean, how many different organizations applied for this grant?
I'll call Shannon back up for that. Oh, two. She's giving me two.
Okay, two. My next question is for DA Wentworth. Mr. Wentworth, my understanding, obviously it's not accurate, but I just presume that the expungement would be limited to misdemeanors, traffic violations, and so forth. I had no idea this stepped into felonies and so forth. So I do understand that, you know, people truly change their ways, and they have demonstrated, they have jumped through all the hoops to, you know, that maybe those folks beyond misdemeanors, you know, there's probably opportunity for people to reform themselves and get in a better place. So I didn't assume that this would step into no opportunity for or demonstration that people are taking the steps to be in a better place other than just simply clearing the record for the sake of clearing the record. So it sounds like there's a distinction between what I was familiar with in past expungement for misdemeanors, traffic violations, failure to appears, things like that. And I mentioned the example on Tuesday of someone I know who needed a driver's license to get a job, and they had some things just like that, FTAs, traffic violations that were just stemming there that need to get cleared so that person get a driver's license. So this changes my viewpoint on this a little bit. And essentially, and I know how you do your work. I know how Clackamas County and your predecessor have done work in Clackamas County, whether it's victim assistance or it's helping people reform and proving that they can take the steps to reform. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we are making sure that Clackamas County is a safer place at the end of the day, right? And if we're just simply going to hire someone to help people expunge those records without any of those processes I mentioned earlier, and some of the philosophies that your department has provided, gives me pause. It gives me pause. So it sounds like Clackamas County is going to be less safe if we had something like this in place. Is that? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I didn't realize it extended into felonies.
It does.
Okay.
It does. It's a matter of perspective, right? And if in the light most favorable to H3S, is it for we want to be supportive of people who've been have committed and convicted of crime? Absolutely. Does it help them potentially get down the road to being a better citizen? Absolutely. It can do that. But we have a real recidivism problem in our community. And so as your district attorney, I have to say, you can have both, right? You can end up helping someone, and you can end up making it more difficult for law enforcement to do our jobs to keep the community safe by doing this action.
Yeah. And so my next question, I guess, or statement is Mary, addressed to Mary here. And that is that, you know, Mary, I heard what you all said, and what Vahid said. I see a need for those people that have those minor things. And I don't know if it's more expeditious to use this contract for purposes like that or not. If there is a challenge for this particular provider who can't meet his current obligations, then maybe is truly maybe not going to be expeditious, right? So on that question alone, do you have any understanding or confidence that this provider will indeed be more expeditious in processing these expungements and help assistance?
Well, regardless of the provider that we're contracting with, the intent is to actually be able to purchase that dedicated FTE. So as we talked on Tuesday, this is really about then creating an on-demand service for the up to 125 participants that are in the Housing for Success. So these are individuals known to us, right? We could certainly talk about narrowing expectations within this contract. We could also talk about shortening and treating it as a pilot. At the end of the day, sort of regardless of the vendor chosen, part of the success of the Housing for Success will be our ability to more swiftly and promptly help individuals overcome the barriers that are not allowing them to get long-term employment, for example, or just employment in general. So I'm happy to continue to grapple with this, but this is a unique model of the Housing for Success program. It's really the first. No one else is doing this, in which you have sort of navigators supporting individuals, plus really this barrier removal. So we're happy to talk about whether we need to narrow the expectation. We're also happy then, we will do whatever the board decides. I hope that if the decision is not to support this particular contract, that you would allow us to go back and still look at what options there might be. I mean, I want to appreciate DA Wentworth, both that he called me this morning to let me know that he was going to be here today. So I appreciate that partnership. And it is really important that, we do invest. This is an appropriate use of SHS because this is what's keeping people in our programs, that actually with some barrier removal, we could get them moving on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And since my work in trying to get the Veterans Village and all my research over 10 years ago now, I do realize that there are barriers and people need that help to get across the finish line. And all the things listed on here, that navigation to help them get where they get. So, I really appreciate you saying that. If there is an opportunity to refine, I would be supportive of trying to probably refining this work. And lastly, DA Wentworth, do you have any capacity constraints in your office for this population?
Well, that's something I neglected to mention. I appreciate your asking the question. Everything that you see here doesn't just happen away from my office. Every expunction gets looked at. We had 1,800 expungement requests in my office last year. Every one of those, we have a deputy district attorney review them to see whether they qualify. That's just that. Then you have folks who are trying to get relief from sex offender registration. There are motions that get filed. There are hearings that are had. This would be an unfunded mandate to my office. And as Mary and I talked this morning, well, someone's going to do it, right? And that's true. My challenge is the county providing money to just go out and do this work. Again, after we've put all the work into getting the conviction and getting someone on, on probation, for example, someone trying to undo the conditions of probation behind us. That doesn't make any sense to me. The purpose of probation is to reform.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Helm?
Yeah, thank you, DA Wentworth, for your testimony. I had some questions after Vahid's testimony or his presentation on Tuesday, mostly around that this was an on-demand, but it's not really a full-time position because it's on-demand, which is, and maybe I'm making an assumption on that, but to me, the dollars didn't add up to close to $500,000 for an on-demand, which to me translates to part-time. So if you can kind of help me with that.
Yeah, I did follow up with a communication to you all regarding the budget. So in the contract was actually just a 6-month budget to complete out this fiscal year. This has taken us longer to get in front of you. So we had hoped that we would have a contract at the beginning of January for a 6 months. So what you saw, 500 something thousand, right, Commissioner Savas? But we are purchasing a 1.0 full-time FTE. And so when you do look at that 50-odd thousand, times 2 years and 4 months, it gets to that 460.
Okay. All right. And then this is very enlightening, but believe me, I believe in second chances. As an employer, I employed people with felony backgrounds and they ended up being like my best employees because they were trying very hard to like get back in the system and work hard. But I have concerns after what DA Wentworth said about getting rid of some of these. He doesn't have the information he needs to do his job correctly. That scares me a lot. So tell me where the compassion court. I know the compassion court is supposed to be going into the new caring place. Tell me if there's an overlap in that at all. Those are for the lower level crimes that are oftentimes committed by the houseless people. And so they are sent in a different direction. Are you familiar or can you help me out with that? No, it's called something else and it's in Oregon City. It's
Justice Court?
Justice Court? I don't know. They called it the Compassion Court.
Yeah, Oregon City has created their own, they've modeled their compassion court off of our community court.
Okay.
That's what you're thinking
All right.
of, yeah.
Okay. That's what it is. All right. Okay. Yeah. And I just see some redundancies here. So there's dollars are precious. And if we're doing redundancies, I don't think that we have that. We don't have that ability to just, yeah, I'm struggling with this too. So I guess we'll figure it out at the end here.
All right. Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I have a few questions here because one of the questions is, well, do we have any information on how many of these are felonies versus misdemeanors? So,
Shannon, do we have a good summation of the, why don't you can come up to the mic? You could sit next to Mr. Williams. Can you talk a little bit about what our participants look like?
Certainly. Thank you for the question. I would just remind that this is 125 families that we are currently working with and are currently housed under a rent assistance. So just for clarity, this is not a broad-based group. And it is not intended to serve any individuals other than these 125 that are already receiving services from us. I don't actually know their criminal backgrounds, so I'm not privy to that information to know how many folks that would in particular affect or not. It would be a service that's available to them if they qualified. Obviously, expungement has very specific guidance in state law as to the time between the time of your crime, between the type of crime. Many crimes are not eligible for expungement. Without going into all the details of expungement, it's quite a legal process that one goes through, and many folks are not eligible for that. But I think, as Mary said, if there were things that the board was particularly concerned about, if you wanted us to explore this further, we could obviously make those changes and parameters without getting into individualized criminal histories.
Anything else, Martha?
Yeah, one of the things that you've talked about is helping these folks get employment, but I haven't seen anything here that, are you working with our workforce board? Are you working with the community college? What is going on with that piece?
Thank you, Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah.
That's actually the largest part of the program for Housing for Success is we also went through a process and selected our own CFCC's team to provide employment navigators. So each of these households are getting wraparound employment one-on-one care to help them navigate and increase their incomes over time. As well, we also have some mental health support through that same program if those families so require. So it's really the bulk of the money that we're spending on is actually on the employment side. And this is just a small part of the barrier removal for us to help them get into those jobs that they need to get so they can sustain themselves.
So you used an acronym. Can you tell me what that is again?
It's our own Children, Family, and Community Connection Division under H3S.
I was wondering if
it's our workforce team.
It's internal.
Correct.
So it's internal, but you're not in contact with employers. You haven't worked with our workforce board and the things that they do, or is that?
We absolutely have and are in connection, but we are doing so through our sister division within H3S.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I had just a couple comments, and I can go to you, Commissioner West. So, believe it or not, I see both sides. And one of the things which is kind of unusual, I guess, as coming from a sheriff, is also wanting to give people second chances, right? But I also want them to prove themselves, right? And there is a certain population I am more skeptical of, and I would say sex offenders, to be direct. And on the other hand, I will say people involved in whether it's a delivery or use of drugs, a lot of times they have addiction issues. They've been clean and sober and kind of showing that, hey, they're turning their lives around. And at some point looking at, and those are typically felonies, convictions. And so I do have concerns about whatever length of time, because I do like to see people kind of show that they're on the right track. And also kind of being very careful and thoughtful on those. I know Amanda Mason works with the county, and she does work with expungements, and I've actually referred people to her. She does a fantastic job, and I think they look at what those expungements should be, and I have seen it make a difference in people, and so. I really do see it from both sides, and kind of where I think I'm leaning towards right now. And I heard staff kind of say that maybe perhaps we refine or narrow this a little bit and have some further discussions about it. I mean, I do see it as a benefit, but I also say I think we have to walk gently on this and be very careful as we move forward. So that was just kind of my thoughts on. Appreciate both of your input on this, and I do want to say the reason I want to pull this is because more information came forward, and I just think it's vitally important that we make sure we're looking at the totality of everything. So I want to thank you, DA Wentworth, for coming forward. So Commissioner West.
Yeah, DA Wentworth, if this wasn't an unfunded mandate, could you do this and have the oversight of your office on these issues so that we know what we're working with here, the individuals? It's a little more tailored to the individual that We may need to continue to have some oversight on, and then there's those that are getting their lives right and they're becoming good citizens and they've changed and they're clean and sober, and we help them remove those barriers. I'm wondering if there's a possible bandwidth of, I mean, I clearly have real issues with the Metropolitan Public Defenders Group. Like that for me was like a giant red flag. And I think that would erode a public trust if we partnered with a group like that really was struggling. But we have a good partnership with you. We do good things in-house. So if we do narrow this and take those things into consideration under your advisement, DA Wentworth, where are you an appropriate office and can these funds be redirected publicly to in-house or within or do we have to use these grant funds to partner with another nonprofit? Why, if we have these funds, why would it have to be an unfunded mandate?
Mr. Williams.
So just a couple of observations. I hate to admit it, but nearly 43 years ago, come this November, I moved to Oregon to go to work for the Public Defender's Office as a trial assistant for 3 years before I went to law school. So I don't dislike the Metropolitan Public Defender's Office. I still have friends that I worked with. And they play an important role. And yes, the state of affairs involving indigent defense needs to be fixed. And I know there are efforts underway to do that. Having said that, there are available services that people can, if they're aware of how to access them, can get help with expungement. Through, I think it's the Oregon Law Center, through Lewis and Clark. You can Google the Oregon State Bar website to see they have attorneys who volunteer their time to help people. And so what I think would be helpful is to do some research on what services are available that we could then post on the county website for people who could benefit from those services, or to include eviction services or whatever the need might be. And since, as Shannon said a moment ago, that we don't know how many have criminal backgrounds, it would be good to have access to information that's already available on the internet and amplify that, educate those folks and who are living in these housing projects. So I offer that, and I will fall on the sword here and indicate I'm the one who raised questions about this 3 weeks ago, however long it's been, and started asking questions because of my awareness of the indigent defense nightmare that's going on in the state of Oregon and the Metropolitan Public Defender's Office and other public defenders. It's just a broader view of the mess that's going on that I'm aware of. And so that's why I raised it. And had conversations with DA Wentworth and First Assistant Chris Owen, and because I felt like I needed more information on the current state of affairs. Because this is, even if it's Metro SHS dollars, it's taxpayer money that matters. And so that's why I raised the issue. And I believe in asking questions and I'm not trying to alienate anybody or make anybody angry. I feel like my obligation is to ask questions if I think there's a broader view to be considered. So that's why I raised this, and I appreciate, I know Mary and Janet have been here twice to talk about this, and I appreciate DA Wentworth having the opportunity to speak because I just felt like y'all needed to hear it.
We have a culture of safety here and we pride ourselves on that. And so yes, removing barriers, because we also have a recovery oriented system of care and we have had the best outcomes in the region, and it's intentional, it's policy driven. However, I don't want to undermine our ally and the DA's office, which is essential to that public safety and the harmony of the community as a whole. And so when we start to remove barriers over here, we pull the string over here, what's the impact on this other end? And it only takes one bad case to happen back in our community of recidivism, and then to go all over the news, and some victim that didn't need to be a victim is now a victim, and it could have been avoidable. And so having an organization that I don't think that this board or I would have a hard time trusting to have this contract. It doesn't mean that there isn't a good organization that's more localized and we have more local control, but I would feel the most comfortable with it if we were able to keep it in-house, like maybe with the district attorney's office. And maybe that's not anything you want, DA Wentworth, but if we have funding and we can narrow this and you also have the same goals and we're less likely to have a catastrophic crime or victimization of somebody in our community, and we know where to kind of look at these things in a nuanced way, I trust us with our record more than an outside organization. So that's where I would kind of think of this, Chair.
All right. I kind of want to move things forward because we're really on a tight timeline. So this is what I'm kind of hearing a little bit from staff and from my colleagues. And that is really directing staff to refine the work or narrow it, come back with us, also identify the resources on expungement. So we're just completely aware. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. Is that a consensus amongst yes?
Yeah, I think pretty much. I also can't help but recognize here that there might be an opportunity for, a partnership between the DA's office and maybe there is an element of this that maybe the DA's office doesn't do. I was going to go item by item here, but it seems, I think there's some middle ground here, and I just appreciate the fact that we've discussed this. I think it reminds me of when I was a commissioner 12 years ago. We actually had long work sessions. We learned a lot. We had the rigors of discussing things, and I miss that. So I just want to add that as well. But yeah, Chair, I agree with that little nuance.
All right, Gary, do you need anything else on
So this item is dead as it is in front of you today. Staff will come back to you with another proposal.
All right.
Collaboration with
Thank
the
you
DA's
both.
office.
We'll move on. And
We'll have limits to that.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. You're now moving to the other item you pulled from consent, item B1, approval of a board order designating the district attorney's office as responsible for civil commitment proceedings. There is no fiscal impact. No county general funds are involved. Do you want a briefing from staff, commissioners, or you just want to start talking? How about a quick briefing by Mr. Williams and Mr. Wentworth, please?
yes, go ahead.
I just want to start with, I disagree with what Mr. Hunt said when he was speaking to you all virtually by indicating that I had been unavailable by phone or in person for a meeting. I've had our office manager trial week to set up a time for a call or an in-person meeting. And my understanding of the communication between Mr. Hunt and our office manager is he did not want to have a meeting without the district attorney's office being involved. And as he outlined, there were lots of scheduling issues this week. So, but I never indicated I wasn't available. My phone numbers were provided. I was willing to do it whether I was in the car or not in a meeting or in a public hearing. So and maybe he misunderstood, but my understanding is he declined to simply talk with me without the DA's office present. So, but with that, I am well-versed in the mental health issues in the state of Oregon, given my history here as the 31 years a state, 10 years as a state prosecutor, and I handled some civil commitments early on, and then 21 years in the federal system, and having Mr. Renault speak virtually today. I've known Mr. Rowe for years, going back to the time when I supervised on the federal side the civil rights investigation of the Portland Police Bureau that resulted in a settlement agreement that's still in place, and went to a lot of community meetings during that investigation that I oversaw on behalf of then District U.S. Attorney Dwight Holton and then Amanda Marshall, and then continued to oversee it when I became U.S. Attorney. And so I say all that because I understand the significance of the process. And then let me say, I represented 3 elected DAs in the Mink Bowman litigation for 3 years. I was just at the status conference before Judge Nelson yesterday. That involves the aid and assist population, but because the conversation of involving what Oregon is trying to do to address the mental health issues, even yesterday, the question of civil commitments came up before Judge Nelson. So it's complicated. The state's in contempt over failure to get people to the state hospital for their aid and assist evaluations, but this impacts the civil commitment process as well because of, frankly, a lack of resources. But none of that says that the district attorney's office is not qualified to take this back when taking it over last June. And I appreciate DA Wentworth's willingness to do so. And it has nothing to do with neither one of us being unwilling to consider what we're doing, because we have. And I leave the door open for Mr. Hunt, Ms. Marshall, Mr. Barker to engage in conversations with us about concerns, because I have absolute confidence that the district attorney's office, given their history of handling the civil commitment matters for years, like many other counties have, to do this and do it well. And I could, Mr. Renaud described this both in his written materials that we've seen, including the memo given to us this morning. These individuals are not being prosecuted. He used that terminology. It's incorrect. They're not being prosecuted. This is a civil commitment process that, I remind everyone, is overseen by judges. So the party representing the state, just like the attorneys representing the individuals facing civil commitment, are answering to a court of law. And having been through those hearings now 30 years ago as a state prosecutor, I don't remember a judge that I appeared in front of not taking it seriously, and me as a representative of the district attorney's office not taking it seriously, because you're talking about a person's constitutional rights, and the issues of mental illness have only gotten more complicated over the decades. The United States is still trying to figure out how to handle this. Many states are under contempt orders from states to Oklahoma. Washington State was under an order, and after paying $110 million in fines, finally decided to fix it, increase capacity. Oregon's struggling with what to do with it. So all that to say, I disagree with the sentiment that the district attorney's office isn't the appropriate place. It is absolutely, in this county, the appropriate place. We don't have in county counsel's office, we don't have the staffing to do it. I don't think I need to go into details about an employment matter that I had to address recently. And we're engaged in representing the county in litigation. We're engaged in advising every department for the county, and we don't have the staff. We just don't. And I didn't make this decision overnight. I looked at it for 9 months and needed to make a decision because that's what you hired me to do. So I will say that knowing I'm happy, even if you vote on this consent agenda item to proceed with it, to hand it back over to the district attorney's office who has it now. I'm committed to addressing the mental health issues in the state of Oregon. I'm still involved. That's why I went to that 2-hour hearing yesterday in Portland in federal court. I know the plaintiff's attorneys, the defense attorneys. I know Dr. Pinels. And I remain engaged with the attorneys representing the Friends of the Court, the amicis, the hospital associations, the judges in Oregon, Washington County Counsel's Office remains involved, and the attorney Aaron Olson, who represent various victims organizations. So I'm passionate about it. I remain engaged and would sit down and talk with in person, not virtually, like for whatever reason Mr. Hunt has insisted on. I will continue to work with DA Wentworth's office on these issues because I'm not going away in terms of what's going on in federal court.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner Savas.
Oh, I thought we'd hear from.
Oh,
DA
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll be brief, but I want to nerd out for just a second. The district attorney's position is constitutional. It's in the Oregon Constitution. County council is not. And if you didn't have county council, it would be the district attorney who would handle all of your land use matters and all those things. So just to be a nerd for just a second, to say, well, you don't have the expertise, you don't know what you're doing, that's not exactly true. That would be my duty to know that. Okay, nerd time over. Chair Roberts has been to a civil commitment hearing. They don't occur in a courtroom. They occur in a hospital. There is a judge and there is someone representing the person who is there and we're trying to determine whether they're a danger to themselves or a danger to others and whether they have a mental illness. That's the hearing, right? It is a civil process, but liberty is at stake. That's why they're appointed an attorney if they can't afford one, right? Whether you're in a hospital or a jail or a prison, you're in custody for however long as the doctors deem is necessary. We have expertise in that. So we're not out to get a conviction. We're not out. Our job is to do the right thing, whatever that is. And we do have these hearings where, or moments where the doctors come back and they say, hey, we gave them medication over the weekend and they're better, right? Well, we're not trying to keep them in the hospital if they're fine. The goal is to get them back on track so that they can be out in the community again, whatever that takes. So we're just out there trying to do what's right. What I have heard out of this conversation, and I wish it had been brought to me sooner, but it wasn't, and here we are, is that my office could do better in terms of service delivery, right? If we have law clerks doing this work, it is a load to do these. There are about 10 a month. And when they come in the morning, we have to file something by 11 a.m. And then it's our responsibility to prepare for the hearing that's the next day. That's a lot of work. That's basically 2 days of work for my staff for each of these hearings. It's a big deal. So I understand why it might be a drain on another office. It'll be a drain on my office, but that's okay. So our service delivery, we've farmed a lot of this out with supervision over law clerks, but I hear that doesn't work and I get it. I'm working to fix that, right? We can do better and we will do better. Like Mr. Williams, this is a passion of mine as well. I want you to have the best DA's office you can get. And if we're not providing the service that we should be providing from whoever's perspective, that's okay. We'll work on that. But I needed somebody to tell me this is an issue. I didn't get praise and pats on the back and parades when we handed it over to county council. I heard crickets, right? But now that we're taking it back, it's a big deal. Okay, let's deal with the big deal. But in terms of criminalizing, we're not trying to criminalize mental illness. That's not true. We can solve the in the hospital room issue by simply saying, and this is an attorney who is hired by the county. We don't have to call him a prosecutor. We don't have to call him the state. We don't have to call him a deputy DA or anything like that. We can accommodate that in the moment. That's okay, right? It doesn't matter what you call us. We're just there to do our job. So I just want you to know, I hear the criticism. I take it to heart. We will absolutely work on it to address it. It will be more work for us, but this is the work we do. It's what I'm constitutionally required to do, and I will do it well.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thank you. I don't know where to begin. So first of all, I wasn't here last week. I am aware of, some of the dialogue that occurred. And I just want to just roll back when the board, roll back last year when the board made the decision to proceed this way and to do it in-house with legal counsel. It was the board decision. And it was, I think, the passion of the commissioners about this commitment, civil, or this challenge with civil commitment, that then Council Veto, took the bull by the horns, and she proposed this, and the board made the decision to move forward. I want to make that perfectly clear. So I understand there's, arguments were made then, and I'm only looking for a solution. I'm not looking for ownership, it's not to me about this office or that office, or someone being better or right or wrong or whatnot. It's about serving the people that have the need. It's a crisis that they're in. It's a crisis for the family, right? This is a big deal. I've been close to this myself with a couple people, one of which is family. So it's tough. I am a little bit, no, I'm not going to go there. I just want to say that I wish this would have came back. It started out as a board decision and a board discussion. I wish it would have came back as a board discussion for the change, because I argue that it was our decision in the first place. It should be our decision to revisit it. And that didn't happen here. So I'm not going to say I'm personally responsible. I'm just going to say I think that we had a responsibility to take this up. I know it was discussed as, from legal counsel, that this was a change that legal counsel wanted to make, but we did not have this kind of discussion that we're having here today, nor is it the same kind of discussion we had when we implemented it and gave that direction a year ago or last summer. So DA Wentworth, I appreciate your acknowledgement that maybe your office could do a little bit better. I think that was part of the arguments I heard. I know that preparation for a case is everything, right? Because that can make or break maybe a way it goes for, in this case, someone who might really, frankly, benefit from being, committed civilly. It's not criminal. I know that your office doesn't do solely criminal. You do civil things that have nothing. So I also heard from, commentary that they just see your office or the DA's position as solely criminal. And I know it's not. So I just want to put that out there as well. I appreciate everyone's passion on this. It's a sad day. I kind of mentioned this before, and I've been mentioning this. It's a sad day that we've been so many years in this state and having this challenge, and we have not really gotten anywhere. We have a huge, DA, you and I have talked about this over and over and over again, the challenge with the state stepping up to the plate and making a difference for people with mental illness and behavioral health challenges. And I know that Sheriff Roberts at the time, then Sheriff Roberts, his engagement with people, I mean, it touches you. I mean, it's very painful to see people going through that when they know they need the help, and we have a state and a system that doesn't provide the help. And that's not limited to civil commitment, it's the whole system. So I've said a lot. We've been here a long time. Chair, I yield back.
Thanks. Commissioner West.
I mean, I have full confidence in both these offices and they're some of the best offices in the state. We did task you with running the office of county council as you see fit. We trusted you with that authority. You do need to do what's best for the county council's office and work in tandem with our friend DA Wentworth. I'm not aware of any case in which either offices have ever handled where a compassionate, human-centered focus, person-centered focus was not taken, regardless of what office has handled this issue. Some are quick to advocate that all intersection with law enforcement means you're criminalized, or you're punitive and you're hurting somebody. And I think some of that rhetoric has gone pretty far in Oregon to the point to where we have an unnecessary, very negative view in our community sometimes towards law enforcement and the professional work they do, which is broad. A lot of people don't know that the sheriff office has all kinds of human services to help people, anywhere from women that have been battered, things with families, those coming out of addiction. Chair Roberts was the spearhead for a lot of that when he was sheriff. And that's through the law enforcement agency that is really doing this safety net approach to come around the community to have people get back on their feet again. And I know you have the exact same outlook and viewpoint in how you operate with policy out of your office, DA Wentworth. I understand that there's maybe a perception, but like you said, you don't deal with just criminal. These are not being prosecuted. There's a letter here where it talks about, I believe it was from Jason Renaud, where he talks about something about like that these people are they're not being prosecuted. That's not the process here. And so just that kind of tone, I don't think is super accurate or fair to law enforcement. I just don't have any angst about the professionalism of your office. My concern is, do you have the resources? Because you tend to do a lot with a little DA Wentworth. You tend to make everything stretch more than most departments. And in my opinion, you have not received the funding that you need to do. Now, you're getting a lot of work today thrown at you in both these topics. And so, we have a sheriff's office that is advocating for significant more money than she did last budget cycle. You tend to come before us and I'll try to rub these two nickels together and figure it out. And you do, but at a certain point we've got to pay for the services that you provide. And I'm concerned about, it's a workload for all of us. I believe this issue is a failure across the state of Oregon, and the legislature and the governors and those that make these decisions have made it really difficult on local governments like us. It's really hard to get people care and help here. And we would almost rather see them languish in the streets and commit self-harm in front of us than actually be able to intervene compassionately and save someone's life. And that story is really all too common here in the Portland metro area. But my question to you is funding. What is the impact on this, on your workload? And if we need to bring in better oversight on these legal interns and we're trying to utilize that and make the dollars stretch, if we make these adjustments, what's the reality within your current budget constraints?
That's a great question, and I appreciate it. I can do it, right? I will rub the nickels together, and I will make it happen. And because the criticism I have heard, I spoke to Amanda Marshall. I think she's still here. I spoke to her earlier this week about, from her perspective, what the challenges are. And it is difficult. I get it. It's difficult when a new law clerk walks in, and maybe they've only sat in on one other hearing to get an idea. I heard the service delivery side of it. To fix that, I have to have a deputy DA do that work. Okay. That, as I mentioned, that's 2 days. Every time it happens, 10 times, that's 20 days of DDA time that's committed to this, because those hospitals I was telling you about, they're not in Clackamas County. They're in Hillsborough and they're in Portland. So it's a drive to get out there. You have the hearing. It's a drive to get back. They're not virtual. Okay. So that takes time. That takes someone out of my office not prosecuting crimes. And so that means everybody else's caseloads go up a little bit to compensate. We can do it. Like I have 35 deputy DAs. You don't have 35 staff in your office. We'll make it happen. Ideally, would I get someone to do that work? Absolutely. But I'm not coming here to ask for that.
I know, but it's
I'm
not
just telling you the
budgeted right
reality.
now. Am I right? It's not budgeted. I know you'll rub the two nickels together.
Yes, we will.
And you won't complain and you'll be a good soldier, but that doesn't mean that's the best way to fund your office.
It wouldn't be ideal.
Okay. And to be fair and to get the work done appropriately, on which we have to deal with, it'd be interesting to see, like, I really, for 20 hours of this work, would need this in the budget cycle within your budget. It would be, I think, important to see that. We can only ask you to get so skinny, DA Wentworth, like, to be fair, right? And so we've done that, but that's my biggest concern. I have no concerns with this going to your office because we already have a long track record of no complaints, no issues. And I think right now we're talking about perception. Well, perception, isn't always the reality in which we've operated. And we have a long track record and evidence of like what your office has done. And if you're willing to do this and think you can do it, I just want to make sure you got the money to do it and the resources. I appreciate it.
All right. I know we need to move on as well. And just a couple comments, and then maybe I can summarize this a little bit. But, to really Amanda Marshall and Dave Hunt, I think I want you to know that kind of what's different about this board and the DA and our county council is we really have a heart for people that struggle with mental illness. And we really want to do the right thing. Since the day he started, we've been having the conversation on this, on the state level, on that population that's unable to aid and assist. We're trying to find solutions. It's not pointing the finger, but it's like, what can we do to really improve the system as a whole? I do want to say we've come a long ways. We have a long ways to go. We've made a lot of baby steps, as I call them, and I can just say, as the former sheriff, we did form a behavioral health unit back in 2004. One of the very first ones. We had mental health first aid. We had crisis de-escalation, CIT training, and then I think what was really the most powerful thing that I can just say is, and that's why I so much appreciate Amanda Marshall, is you've been through the system and were willing to tell us that, and people that have navigated the system. And I think that's the most powerful thing that we would hear. And honestly, for training people, having somebody come in and talk about that. So I admire you for doing that. So thank you. So I think that what I do want you to know is this board is incredibly passionate about this. And I also, one of the things I firmly believe in, and that is kind of why we brought it back for discussion again, is giving people the opportunity to talk about it. And as by this 1 week delay, we had more people come talk about it than we did last time. I appreciate Council Williams being available to talk to Mr. Hunt. It sounds like maybe he wants to meet together. I guess I would just pose to the board, not this long extended delay, but giving the chance for the two of you to meet with Dave Hunt and then bring it back here again. As it stands now, you're handling those. And that is one thing I wanted to also comment on, is that when we, as the county council, decided to take that on, that was the first question I asked is, do you really have the resources to do this? Because I know, and like you said, I mean, I've been called to testify in those hearings, and how much time it is, drive time, everything you talked about is a huge lift. And I think Commissioner West kind of also pointed that out, that you've been taking that on. So, anyway, I think that's one of the items that I thought I might suggest, is giving these folks a chance to have a further conversation. So I would like to hear from my colleagues. I see Commissioner West has his light on.
I have the same position as a week ago. Nothing has changed. We need to make, we can make a decision. The decision's probably not going to change. You can still do public outreach, still have communication. DA Wentworth can meet with these advocates that have these concerns and try to make adjustments accordingly in his office. We have already given more than double than what we tried to, what is traditional on this specific issue. We're all very busy. And there's a lot of things on the agenda, a lot of things that need lots of attention, and a lot of things that we probably would like to have double the normal time. I'm going to advocate that we make a decision today, hopefully quickly, because I know a lot of us have meetings we're late for.
Yes. So I'd like to hear from the rest of you. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, Chair, I don't mind your suggestion. I understand Commissioner West would like to get it done. I'm going to take this opportunity to say something I won't go into great detail, but I do think when someone comes here or speaks to us, that we recognize their position and we respect their position, whether we agree with it or not, as opposed to challenging it. And I think right now, based on the discussion we've had here in the last half hour, I want to see us all get in a good place where we're all sitting around the table working together and we find a solution for the people we serve, as opposed to any individualism. So with that said, I think, Commissioner West, I think it'd be appropriate to let people work this out, get around a table and come back with a solution and a path forward, and keep our relationships as solid and strong as they can, and realize we all have good intent.
Commissioner Hill, thoughts?
Yeah, I've struggled with this one based on the constituent communications we've received. I understand both sides, or all sides, I should say. And I want to say how much I appreciate people coming forward and speaking about it. And then trying to get the history of why it was switched last year and switched back and all of that. I do have full faith in both departments to do their job. I am worried about the budget part of it as well. we're facing some very scary realities coming up here in the next couple of months. But I am ready to vote on this today. I'm late for a meeting on the far side of Portland, so I'm willing to vote on this today. I appreciate wanting to push it out. I don't think that my position would change a week from now either. But I'm willing to do whatever this group feels is best. So I just want to say I appreciate all the feedback we've received from the community, and this is a very tough thing, and it's just super sad. I hope we get a handle on it at some point.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I'm willing to move forward today at this point because as one of the commissioners has been here a very long time, I never ever recall or have seen any issues with it being in the DA's office. And I think that we were kind of we've made an issue out of something that I think has never really been an issue with how you've managed and handled it. And it was too bad. We should have been a little more. We should have talked to you first. But I also have a daughter that works in the justice system, and I have nothing but respect for everything you do. And I do think you handle these cases with grace and caring for these people. Like I said, I don't think you go in there with the notion that this is a criminal proceeding. This is someone who is ill and needs the help. And I also think that your capacity for managing these cases is greater than what we can do in our county council. I think we had one person, Billy, did we not? Yeah, and you have other folks that you give multiple assignments to, and so you've got, I think, a greater capacity to do a better, thorough job. And I do want to let the folks who have come forward with us our respect and honor what they say. I don't believe it's a criminal proceeding either. Having had family members that have had issues too, as many of us have. But I think moving it back to where it was, again, in all the years I've been here, there has not been any complaint or any issue working with law enforcement, and your folks really too with nothing but compassion and grace. So
Thank you.
I'm ready to vote today.
Right.
Okay.
Is there a motion then?
Do you want me to do it? Do you want to do it? Okay. Well.
It's not in your script, but it would be just read item B1 from the agenda.
Okay.
Or I can do it for you if you'd like. Let me read it. It would be approval of a board order designating the district attorney's office as responsible for civil commitment proceedings.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, approval of a board order. That was B1, right?
Yes.
Commissioner, sorry, you made the motion, didn't you? Right, Commissioner, sorry, I want to make that sure. Commissioner West made the motion, approve the board order B1. It's been seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion?
Chair, just ask that all parties involved in this just get together and sort things out after today.
I would agree with that.
I would agree with that too, because I think we need to get through the misunderstandings and the trust level that people know you're doing a good job for these folks who are hurting.
I agree.
And DA Wentworth, thank you so much for proactively meeting with Amanda. And I hope those meetings can continue. And if they're helping us be better and provide oversight, then fantastic.
Thank you.
And just kind of being a little pushback guy here. I appreciate my colleagues' both points, and I guess the question I ask myself is, and I really try and take this seriously is trying to be inclusive and hear everybody. And that's all I would say is there's, when I look, is there an urgency on this matter? I don't really see that as Mr. Wentworth is handling that. Not that it might not change my decision, but that's the only kind of review differently, I think, from some of my colleagues. So I think with that discussion and points made, I want to thank both you and council for bringing this up and addressing the issue for us. So with that, I'll ask the clerk to call the poll.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
No, it's not fun.
I know. I'm going to say no.
Motion passes 4-1, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. And thanks to my colleagues. All right. Next, Gary, what do you have last?
Next is administrator update. I'll just announce the board is on recess next week, March 23rd to 26th. There are no meetings of the board. The board next meets for administrator issues on Tuesday, March 31st, but then there's no quorum for Thursday, April 2nd. So there's no board meeting on that date. So the next meeting of this board for a business meeting is Thursday, April 9th. That is my update. Back to you.
And Chair, may I? I'm very, very late for something that starts at 12:30 in Hillsborough. So sorry, I'm not going to listen to your to communications, but I'll fill you in.
I also go, I am supposed to be somewhere right now that I am not.
So if my colleagues are okay, will we pass on commission communication?
Yeah, thank you.
I see a nod, and with that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you for joining us.
Tell them.
Sorry, you guys.